It's out of the question whether UFOs or UAPs exist. We definitely know they exist. The question is just what are they and who's operating them? I think the most likely case scenario is that they are military craft of some kind that humans designed and built, and they're an advanced technology that not necessarily everybody has been told about, like in the public and in the press. And they're just some kind of advanced military technology where basically they've been making these advances in secret. They haven't been trying to tell everybody, it's been very confidential. And they've slowly just developed to a point where now they have these craft that move in seemingly inhuman ways, but ultimately it is a world military. Like, human beings are behind this project. It's incremental scientific growth, and they've just hit a new wave of technology where it's humans flying these things, operating them, or controlling them, but people just aren't generally aware of how fast the technology has improved in the militaries. I think another very likely scenario is that it's very similar, but instead of humans operating these things and actually being inside the craft themselves, they are just very advanced drones. So maybe very similar to the last argument, except for instead of there being humans inside the UFOs actually piloting them, possibly they're remote controlled from like a long distance somewhere far away, and they're just advanced drone technology. And thirdly, I don't think we could completely rule this one out, but this one is definitely the most controversial, would be that there are actually extraterrestrial beings that operate these advanced craft. So, I mean, obviously, this could go in a million different directions, but interestingly, in the Joe Rogan experience where he interviews Ryan Graves, he's actually fully willing to speculate about like these could totally be advanced technologies that are controlled by extraterrestrial beings. They even go a little crazy with it and say it's possible that these are interdimensional beings and they could kind of come in and come out whenever they want. So it sounds very crazy, but it is absolutely one of the options on the table, which until we know for certain, it can't necessarily be ruled out. As proof of how UAPs or UFOs definitely exist, we can look to credible video evidence and documentation from the military. Like, for example, I'll mention three cases just off the bat. The Pentagon released multiple videos of UFOs a couple years ago. I think it was around 2022 and 2021. And then there was also this guy named Ryan Graves, who was a fighter pilot, and he explained his entire story on the Joe Rogan experience of basically him, and it was corroborated by his crewmates. Up in the air, they saw these blips on the radar, went to go check it out, confirmed that they really were UAPs that were moving in strange ways. And thirdly, another military guy, Commander David Frevor, a very similar story to Ryan Graves, where he was up in the air with other people and he saw a really strange craft above the water and went to check it out. And it was just moving in completely strange ways, like anti gravity type of stuff, breaking the laws of physics that we know about right now. So, those are just three cases of how we can be sure that they definitely exist. But the bigger question is who's operating them? What actually are they? What kind of technology is it? Another very interesting possibility, which is kind of similar to the first point about humans just finding this advanced technology and innovating somehow, would be if you believe Bob Lazar's story. He has a very interesting story about how these things could have been discovered and how the technology could have been discovered by the military. His story, if you believe it, which I actually do kind of believe him, he seems very credible. He hasn't changed his story in like 20, 30 years. He's been very consistent with it, but he believes that the military found advanced aircraft through an archaeological dig. And I can't remember exactly where he said they would have dug this up, but it could have been like Antarctica or something. But his story is that they found advanced technology on Earth through an archaeological dig, and they brought in engineers like him and scientists to reverse engineer these things in places like Area 51. And so the speculation would be that basically aircraft from a different world, different dimension, however far you want to push it, whatever happened, somehow got onto Earth, crash land, whatever happened, and human beings dug them up. Who knows how long they've been there, and just through engineers and scientists tinkering and reverse engineering and discovering new technologies, and with the military's help and funding, I guess, they would have reverse engineered the technology and figured out, oh, like, this is how they did it, this is how they did it, so that humans were able to use the advanced craft as an example and develop the technology by reverse engineering. And Bob Lazar basically goes into how he thinks they used anti-gravity aircraft. I'm not exactly sure how he phrased it, but I think he mentioned the discovery of an element 115, and he mentioned that element's discovery well before it was discovered, because I think it was discovered in the early 2000s, and he came out with this story even before that. So he kind of predicted the discovery of this element, but he basically said that it was being used in UFOs and advanced craft as a propulsion method, where instead of a traditional propulsion method where you think of like an exhaust where you throw out gas and flames in the back and you get movement, it doesn't need to do any of that. It just manipulates the matter around it in a very advanced way so that it can just move like going left and then it immediately turns right. Like something you can't do with traditional propulsion, but with anti-gravity, it opens up this new area of technology where flight can become way more advanced. But yeah, that's a lot of speculation, but the main takeaway from this video is that now that I'm making this video, it's February of 2023. I don't really think it's a feasible argument to be able to say that UFOs or UAPs do not exist. We just have enough proof that is credible enough, like the Pentagon release videos, Commander David Frevor, or not Commander, but Ryan Graves. These guys and the Pentagon, they're very credible, and they talk about how in the Navy, like, this is just something that happens. Like, people just talk about this inside the Navy, and it doesn't necessarily spill over to the public, but they'll be talking about, like, hey, did you see them on the radar? Yeah, I saw them on the radar. Did you see them out there in training? Oh, of course I saw them. I see them every day. So I don't think you can even have a credible case against UFOs anymore. I think we just have to accept that these are a part of our reality now. It's a part of our world. And the bigger question that now we have to answer and think about is, okay, assuming that they are real, what actually are they? Where did they come from? Who made them? Did humans make them? I think that's the most likely case. But we can never 100% rule out the idea that they came from somewhere else. And that's where I'm going to leave that for today. So thanks for watching, guys.